afternoon, everybody. The thing is going to happen now, which happens pretty rarely. There are certain times in the season of training in the Dharma, certain times that mark a transition from one to the next. And we're at such a time right now. We're deep in the belly of Sesshin, which is always its own thing. But in a particular way, this is the Ango opening Sesshin. This is the Sesshin that actually is setting the tone for the next 90-day training period. That's what you all have been doing. There are many members of the Sangha, many deep and committed practitioners of the Dharma who are not able to be here and have needed to rely on you to carry this particular form and to hold this particular space. And it's an easy thing for me to say that I couldn't be happier. I think the quality of the practice has been outstanding this session. And the topic is a very interesting one. Secrets on cultivating the mind. Now, I like a good secret. Raise your hand if you like a good secret. Especially if it's a nice juicy one, like something that actually matters, you know. Like something about me. Those are the best ones. You're not going to get silence. Profound silence. Well, you're not going to get more personal of a secret than this particular fascicle, this teaching. Now, it's the first time in the Sangha, actually in my history at all, that I've ever spoken on a Korean teacher, to my knowledge. I may have used a quote or something once in a blue moon, but I don't think so. I think, we've been very saturated in the Indian scriptures. We've been very, very, very clear about the Chinese history of Zen, and then obviously the Japanese inheritance. It's, always near. And yet Korea is, counts. Korea is there. There's a lot of very beautiful Dharma. And to say it plainly, the Dharma did not stop in China when Dogen left. Great Dharma continued to flourish. And so this time, Reverend Doan and I decided that it would be really nice to redress some of this and to hold forth some of the Korean teachings that are so worth hearing about, particularly when they're about nice juicy secrets. So this one is Secrets on Cultivating the Mind. I'll just read a little chunk here. The teacher is Chinul, a very important figure in the Korean Dharma. And we'll let it go with that for now. If people aspire to the path of Buddhahood while obstinately holding to their feeling that Buddha is outside the mind, or the Dharma is outside nature, then even though they pass through kalpas as numerous as dust motes, burning their bodies, charring their arms, crushing their bones, and exposing their marrow, even though they write sutras in their own blood, never lying down to sleep, eating only one offering a day in the early morning, or even though they study the entire Triptaka and cultivate all sorts of ascetic practices, this is like trying to make rice by boiling sand. It will only add to their tribulation. Now that's a secret that if you put a lot of energy into the wrong kinds of practice, you would have been glad to know about. Sometimes people ask me, Sesshin, it sounds really interesting, Seems like a really good thing, but I don't know, it seems kind of intense. It seems like it might be kind of hard, it might be kind of difficult. Well, try burning your own body. Literally. Don't forget, in humanity's quest for spiritual understanding, we've gone through phases where that seemed like maybe a reasonable way to go about it. Maybe I'll learn something here. I burn and it hurts, It's not it is kind of a poetic metaphor, but it's also a literal fact. The Buddha himself, when he went to study the spiritual realities, he did what everybody else did. He went to the teachers of the day. And people forget that. People tend to present the Buddha as though he just sort of appeared, some kind of virgin birth from elsewhere. No, please, I like stories and fairy tales, but no, this was a person. This was a guy who got it wrong, who went and found teachers of the day. And a lot of the teachings that were going on were ascetic kinds of things. Things punish the body. The Cartesian split, going in another direction, a little more rigorous. So you find all kinds of asceticisms, Try just, holding one arm above your head for the rest of your life. Think Sesshin is hard? Right? Sesshin is easy. Really. What do? You sit, go for little walks, have some lunch. You eat, Please notice that there is food. By God, there's even rest practice. You can do this. You can do this. The training is your mind. Not how much pain you can endure for the sake of some idea. Please, there's enough pain without that kind of stuff. Even though they pass through kalpas, a kalpa is this infinitely long kind of chunk of time. It's like the time of a universe coming and going, since the Big Bang to the Big Freeze or Crunch or whatever. That's like a kalpa. The story is it's like a bird flying with a little silk scarf draped in its little beak there. Once every, 1,000 years or 100 years or something like that, it flies over this Mount Everest, and it lets the thing just graze over the top. And the amount of time it takes for this little silk cloth to wear down the mountain, that's one kalpa. It's a long time. Right? So you can spend a long time, perhaps lifetimes, burning your body, charring your arms, crushing your bones, exposing the marrow. Not sleeping. Punishing yourself. Punishing yourself. Because you're not good enough. Because you got it too good. Because somehow that's what you have to do to get relief. No. Not really. Even though they write sutras in their own blood. China is the culture of language, literature. The written word is culture, law, history, and the Dharma. What more could a person do than write a holy sutra in their own blood? A lot more. That's kind of a dumb thing to do. Painful. It shows a great sort of gusto. It shows a great, kind of youthful vigor. and idealism. There's something to be said for that. It takes a lot of gumption to do that, particularly if you live in an era with no antibiotics. One infection and you're gone. Put that aside. Still, even if you did such an incredible task from the most pure intention, it would not benefit you. Not at all. Never lying down to sleep. Eating only one offering a day. Fasting. Asceticism. Or another way, maybe I got to understand it. Maybe I got to figure it out. I'm going to study my... See, now these ascetics, they got it all wrong. You're supposed to be in the library. That's where the answer really is. So here, he goes on to say, study the entire Triptaka. That's the three baskets, you know. It's all the sutras and all the Vinaya and everything, the Abhidharma. Study everything ever written. Memorize it all. Quote it chapter and verse. No help. It's like trying to make rice by boiling sand. So what to do? Is Sesshin really an ascetic practice? Is Ango really an ascetic practice? Is that what it is? If you approach Ango in this way, you're approaching it to no avail. It's not a matter of earning Buddha points by putting yourself through some kind of dharmic ringer. No. It's not like that. You must always take care of yourself. Just like you take care of your posture and you take care of that mudra. If you are aggressive with the mudra, it's not right. If you're lax with the mudra, it's not right. Just the right amount. Meticulous, exact, clear, and gentle, kind. Take care of yourself. You must take care of yourself. And you must take care of business. If people aspire to the path of Buddhahood while obstinately holding to their feeling that the Buddha is outside the mind, or that the Dharma is outside nature. See, here's the big secret, so to say. And the reason it's a secret is even if someone tells you it doesn't help, you have to see it for yourself. It's not a secret because it's hidden. It's a secret because it's in plain sight. It's like, the air. You're in it all the time. It's not hidden. There's no way to hide it. But we do anyhow. Because we have this feeling, it's a good word, this feeling that Buddha is outside. It's got to be outside somewhere. Some cooler person, or some cooler way of thinking about things, or some person that has some kind of a direct line that I don't. And what's interesting is if you happen to be a person who can understand that feeling, please realize you're not the only one. Why is Chinul talking about this? Because it's something we do. We put everything outside ourselves. It's a basic way the dualistic mind functions. The Lankavatara Sutra purported to be the one that Bodhidharma brought up with him into China. One that would have been in direct influence to Chinuls' ancestors through that line with Bodhidharma. It has this to say: perfect knowledge, knowledge of reality. Now listen to the consistency of this. This is what is so fascinating. We're talking about very different cultures. We're talking about completely different areas of the world. If you know anything of geography, there's India, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and then there's Korea way over here someplace. A lot of space and people and culture in between these. And time. And here, in this version, it says, then Mahamati asked the Blessed One, pray, tell us, Blessed One, about the 5 dharmas, so that we may fully understand perfect knowledge. The Blessed One, this is Shakyamuni Buddha then, replied, the 5 dharmas are appearance, name, discrimination, right knowledge, and reality. By appearance is meant that which reveals itself to the senses and to the discriminating mind and is perceived as form, sound, odor, taste, and touch. Out of these appearances, ideas are formed. Out of these appearances, labels arise. Names begin to take shape. Mama, mama. This is very personal, these secrets. This reality. Out of these appearances, ideas are formed, such as clay, water, jar, etc. Hug. By which one says, this is such and such a thing and is not other. This is name. Please notice name. Please notice language. Notice what your mind is doing when you're sitting there in a cushion. Pay attention. This chronic ache to label everything. This is why in Zen training we do not really emphasize, as a matter of course, the process of actually labeling everything that comes up in your experience. Not really. Some venerable traditions do, that's okay. But in my experience, people who get very adept at that get very adept at this. If they don't keep going. If they don't keep going. And frankly, most people don't. So we don't put a lot of emphasis when you're sitting there. If a thought arises and you say, oh, okay, I'm thinking about that, and label it. I'm thinking about, the sound of the trees. I'm thinking about the sound of those trees over there. That's way more than you need. Just notice that you got pulled off your practice. Just that much. Just really seriously, you've heard this before, but take it in. Notice that you've suddenly noticed that you're lost in the breeze. And then gently and simply just call yourself home to this breath, to this body, to just this, to the koan, whatever your practice is. Gently call yourself back to it and throw yourself again into the practice. No need to reinforce labels and names and ideas or judgments. What a schmo I am for getting pulled into the pretty sound of the wind again. Whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, no. I know. I'll just hold my fingers in my ears for 20 years, so I'll never make that sin again. No. When appearances are contrasted, and names compared, is when we say, this is an elephant, this is a horse, this is a cart. man, woman. This is mine and what belongs to it. The things thus named are said to be discriminated. We chanted the Heart Sutra today, did we not? As these discriminations come to be seen as mutually conditioning, empty of self-substance, mutually conditioning, empty of self-substance, and unborn. Thus come to be seen as they truly are, as manifestations of mind itself. This is right knowledge. By it the wise cease to regard appearances and names as reality. So Sesshin is a very, very particular kind of thing. It has literally saved my life many times, in many ways. You don't need a pagoda. You don't need a Japanese style roof for it to work. What you need is you need your heart in the right place, and you need your head in the game. You need your body to be next to the other person's bodies. The Sangha has to come together. You have to sit with your teacher. You have to sit with your teacher. There is no way to escape that. Sorry. And it's not just because, I'm saying it. It's because since the very beginning, when Shakyamuni twirled that flower and said, I have the subtle mind of nirvana, I pass it now to Mahakai Shapa. Since that time, it's been this way. So, notice where you are. You right now are in the belly of the transmission. You are deep in the heart of reality. Whether you drove 10 minutes, or if you drove from out of state to get here, you're right in the center. Of course, you're always right in the center. But you're in the center of this now. So take it up. I know Sesshin is demanding. There are riggers. Don't take crap from them. Right? Sort of Buddha up. This is not great asceticism. We're not asking you to cut off a phalange and donate it. No. Take care of yourself. Yes. Obviously. Baby yourself? No. Sit straight. Pay attention. Take yourself seriously. Take your practice seriously. Sometimes it's all about being of use to others. How can I help? What can I do for everybody else? How can I alleviate sufferings of the many beings? Sometimes it is bodhisattva practice. Sometimes it's take care of your own equanimity. Own this. This territory is your territory. You have but to claim it. You have but to become intimate with it. Our hot time is its time. You deserve your own truth. You deserve your own experience of this peace, this radiance. the time of Buddha. Beyond, beyond, long beyond. As I was saying to one of you earlier in an interview today, it's not the case that you start with Arhat, get your stuff together, and then you're able to be of use to others as a bodhisattva, and then billions of lifetimes later, maybe you'll be a Buddha someday. It's not really like that. You move in and out of all of these things all the time. And right now, it's your time. Sit for yourself. Be selfish. Take care of yourself, your real self, and your false self. Don't neglect that either. And understand that by doing that fully, you are taking care of the Sangha. At the exact same moment, you are holding the entire Sangha in your mudra. It's in the palm of your hands. Not just the Sangha that's formally participating in this Ango, but the entire wider Sangha. Not just the Buddhists. I'm talking about the Sangha of the crows and the sparrows and the trees. The great earth itself. And beyond that. Way beyond that. And of course, the biggest secret of all is it's nothing but yourself. So take it up. Take it seriously. Have fun. Enjoy Sesshin. Don't miss a moment.